Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on the full moon in Capricorn. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm in the UK, and in my time zone, this full moon happens at 7 minutes past 2 in the morning on the 22nd of June. If you're in Central Europe, Africa, or Asia, it'll also happen on the 22nd, but a little later during the day. And if you're in North or South America, it happens in the evening on the 21st of June. East Coast is 7 minutes past 9 in the evening. On the West Coast, it's 7 minutes past 6 in the evening. So the chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this full moon takes place. So I'm going to have a look at what the planets are doing, how they interact, and how they'll influence us. And once I've done that, I'll go through each sign of the zodiac from Aries through to Pisces to give you a specific message for your zodiac sign. And my horoscopes are like the ones you read in the newspaper. It's for your sun sign. So this full moon has two really nice names. It's known as the strawberry moon or the honey moon. And that really brings up such positive connotations immediately. Love and celebration and enjoying the good life, taking care of the inner child. But at the same time, it really prompts you to make big decisions and to ask big questions about your future, particularly as it relates to your work and your home life, what makes you feel grounded and rooted in your relationships and in your career, and what you can do to amend things so they suit you more. It gives you the confidence to really make big life-changing decisions that will affect you in a positive way moving forward. So anything that occurs to you as in, okay, finally, I've been, going back and forth with this particular issue for months or even years. I've now come to a conclusion. I understand that it's right for me to make changes. So the moon is at 1 degree in Capricorn, and it opposes the sun at 1 degree in Cancer. So they're 180 degrees away from each other. They oppose each other. The moon is fully illuminated, and it reaches this point in its 28-day cycle where it says, hooray, I've done it. I can relax, I can celebrate, and let go of all of this energy. So that's why we will experience this as quite a powerful time on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of June. And Capricorn is an earth sign. It's the sign of the worker. So anything that you need to get done, or anything that needs structuring, or where you need to make a lot of progress, you'll be able to handle those things quite easily. But I've often mentioned that the moon is like your feeling. It's your heart. It's what's happening internally, right? At 1 degrees in Capricorn, which is often depicted as a goat, but sometimes that goat has a tail, like a fish tail. So you're able to take care of practical things, but you're even able to go within and to work on your own emotions around certain areas of life, or if there are ways of behaving, or you feel like you overreact, or that your own feelings sometimes stand in your way and block you from certain things, you'll even be able to work at those. So if the moon is your heart, then the sun is your head. It's what you're striving towards. It's what you identify with on a conscious level. And it's what gives you a sense of power and joy, right? That's a 1 degree in Cancer. And that's very much about connections to other people, particularly meaningful, significant relationships where you identify yourself as this is where I belong, this is where I'm home. And in this case, it's how can I parent my own inner child and make sure that I'm happy moving forward, not just during this period. But what's also interesting, that axis of Cancer and Capricorn in itself, in the traditional chart, Cancer rules the 4th house, which has to do with the family and again, your roots. And it's the domestic side of life, home life. And Capricorn is the 10th house in the traditional chart, and that's to do with the public sphere. It's with career, vocation, and formal connections with other businesses or co-workers. So it's really about identifying, am I in the right spot? But it's much deeper than that, as in, what do I want to almost be remembered for, or what's my legacy going to be? What is the top priority in my life? And how can I stop wasting my time and energy doing things that I don't really care about? And how can I get back on track? So with the sun being at 1 degree in Cancer, it supports you and it gives you this feeling of I'm safe to both do the inner work and to get things done on an external level. And it also gives you the confidence to throw everything up in the air if you feel you need to do that, and to make significant change happen in your life. So again, if you've been uncertain, expect this to provide you with major clarity. We've also then got Venus sitting 4 degrees away from the Sun at 5 degrees in Cancer. And Venus is like the Empress in the Tarot. It's what can I give life to? It's love and creativity. So on a very literal level, your relationships aren't likely to cause you a lot of problems. Creativity is supported. So if you write or you paint or you perform, that's likely to go very well. But on a deeper level, again, in a more abstract sense, I feel, how can I bring more freedom into my life? How can I stop accepting things that I dislike for whatever reason, whether it's financial security or fear of change? And how can I revisit this, check in with where I'm at in my life right now, and give myself the opportunity to really thrive in an environment that I love and adore? Mercury at 10 degrees in Cancer. Again, anything creative-wise, you'll be able to express your feelings very well. But Mercury is the communication planet of perception and the way you make sense of things, the way you articulate yourself, what you use to make decisions. And at 10 degrees in Cancer, it's very nurturing and it's very warm. And I feel that's those three kind of blending their energies together. It's you are your own best friend, and you're going to look at the circumstances that influence you and the position you're in life with a sense of warmth and compassion. And that then leads to this full moon in Capricorn saying, okay, even though it might be frightening or inconvenient, I now understand that this, for instance, isn't the right situation for me. And I'm willing and able to do the heavy lifting and to embrace uncertainty so that I can change things for the better, and particularly in the long term, not just now. Okay, so going back to the moon, that forms a lot of relationships to other things. And if you look at the center of the chart, there's a big red square at the center, and that's called a grand cross. And each square, so it's made up of 4 squares that combine to create this big red square, right? But each one creates friction and energy between the two things that are affected. By the time you get to a grand cross, it can often mean that you're pushed and pulled in so many different directions that you spin yourself out and it becomes too confusing and you end up doing nothing, right? So the first thing is to keep it simple and to do one thing at a time so you don't get overwhelmed. And usually there's a way of combining a grand cross so that you're using all the friction and energy to really make a lot of progress, but it takes a little bit of discipline. If you have this in your natal chart, it can often mean that you're indecisive, or it takes you a little longer to find the ideal career because you're trying out different things and it's hard to decide, right? So the first square is the moon in Capricorn connects to Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. Neptune then squares the sun in Cancer, and the sun in Cancer squares Black Moon Lilith at 29 degrees in Virgo, and that then goes back to the moon, forming this big formation, major aspect pattern. So the moon connecting to Neptune allows you the imagination of what could be. So if I make the change, let me play the tape forward and see myself as I could, in the situation I could be in, or the way I could experience life. So it may, if you're like a person who benefits from writing things down or kind of making a memory map, things like that, where do I see myself in a perfect world? If I could do anything tomorrow, what would it be? And really take notice of the ideas that crop up. You're not going to be misled here. And Neptune is at 29 degrees. So 2 and 9 is 11. In numerology, that's the master number of service. So you can really help yourself out by using your imagination and seeing a different version of yourself that doesn't exist just yet. Neptune then connecting back to the sun, this heightened imagination and intuition is a way of taking care of yourself. So you're not being frivolous by, daydreaming or going down memory lane. Well, not memory lane so much, but considering the like this utopian experience. This is saying that you have a moment here where you can make such massive changes happen that you could actually start to put yourself on the path to your ideal life. And the sun with Black Moon Lilith also at 29 degrees in Virgo. Where am I overly critical? Where do I cut myself off and not give myself permission to try things out or to explore because I'm making the assumption that it's not going to work anyway? So the key thing here is to allow yourself to dream, the impossible dream, as they say, because you have the ability to really identify it, or to see it for the first time, really, to hang on to that image then, and to immediately put that into an action plan. So this is the perfect full moon for anyone who feels like they're lacking in some sense, or life isn't what it could be, or even if you take it to the extreme, anyone who feels disappointed by what life has offered them so far. And it gives them, or all of us, it gives us this sense of power, as in I can make life the way I want it to be. You know, I'm just thinking as I'm saying that, for instance, if I wanted to be an astronaut, it would probably be a little late for that. But I could, if that was a dream, you know, to be this like space explorer or something, I could look at things that were nearby that initial dream, or I could take that interest and by using my imagination and getting creative around it, I could find an alternative that in an unexpected way would then fulfill that dream. So that's why it's important to really allow yourself to think big and to consider things which may seem impractical, because with this, if there's any time in your life where you find a way to make it happen, it's now. Okay, so the moon in itself only forms those connections, the being part of the Grand Cross, the opposition with the sun. But let's look at some of these other things here. So what's interesting is we have Neptune, which I mentioned, but we also have the North Node and Chiron in Aries. And the mission really is to pick up things that have been discarded, especially hopes and dreams, to have this optimism that, you know what, even though I may have failed 100 times, I can heal myself, I can feel like I'm whole again, I can make improvements and have more freedom in my life and have more agency in my own life. And then we've got Mars and Uranus in Taurus. So I am not willing to see obstacles as something that's going to make me turn back. I'm kind of bullheaded about this, and if I want something, if I can see it in my mind's eye, then the fact that I can see it in here means that it's possible out there, and it gives you a great deal of confidence and energy. And Uranus at 25 degrees in Taurus is that willingness to see your life as it is now as something that doesn't have to define you. This is something that I can play around with. I can throw things up in the air, see where they land, or I can build things that don't exist just yet. So if you felt that certain things haven't worked out and you've been disappointed, this is the willingness to say, if I approach this issue in a different way, then there is hope that I could get a different outcome. Jupiter is at 6 degrees in Gemini, and Jupiter is really where there's a lot of growth, right? And Gemini in this context, I feel at 6 degrees, is the opportunity to problem solve and to find a way forward that hasn't presented itself just yet. So all of these things are saying you're just beginning. You've got so much time ahead of you. So it's not a good idea to just keep investing in things because you have for 3 years. You've got this time and energy to do whatever it is you want with your experience, and you can apply your own will to get a certain outcome. You can build your own towers in your life. You don't have to just live in other people's, right? The South Node is at 11 degrees in Libra, next to Black Moon Lilith. And again, I don't think your relationships are going to be particularly challenging, but what I feel is that you're much more connected to the role that you play in your life, where you are able to affect change, and you're not going to be so limited or interested in considering the opinion of other people, or censoring yourself because someone, your friend or your aunt, may not like it. that's going to be minimized. So if you have a tendency to people please or to do other people's thinking for them, that's not going to be much of an issue. And the part of fortune is at 26 degrees in Scorpio. And to me, that says that what is much more real to me during this period is my emotional truth. The outside world is optional. If I feel something, that's my real foundation that I can build on. Again, I don't need to take my current circumstances so seriously. If I operate differently moving forward based on all this information that I've got, I'm going to get a different outcome. And that's the kind of thing where you either feel it and believe it or you don't. And here it's almost like the mental image I'm getting is someone who has fallen into the mud or has been, knocked over and is lying face down in the dust. It's that process of the person getting up again, dusting themselves down, cleaning off the muck, whatever it is, and saying, it's enough that I stood up again. It's that sense of, I'm not doubled over, I'm not intimidated by life, I've got my strength and my courage and my conviction back, and I'm going to have another go. Pluto is in Aquarius at 1 degree, and I made a separate video on Pluto in Aquarius exiting Capricorn in January this year. It had been in Capricorn since 2008, and this is super helpful as well because it's the rebirth of ideas. I'm willing to reinvent myself and redefine my experience in the world. And finally, we've got Saturn at 19 degrees in Pisces, and that's similar to the pole of fortune in Scorpio, as in I'm able to get to the truth of how I really, really feel about something. I don't need to question it. I can believe my own responses. So again, if you journal, what's interesting sometimes to try is if you write down a question to yourself and then you just write the answer, it often, and you do that with several questions, right? What is most important to me? Who am I? What makes me happy? What kind of relationship do I want to be in? And you just write down all those questions and you just look at it as some sort of exercise, and without overthinking it, it's kind of like automatic writing. You just answer it, and then when you read it back, it can be so crystal clear. And this is the opportunity to do that, to identify the root cause of a situation, how you genuinely feel about it, and then the confidence to say, of course the universe supports me, my guides, my angels want me to succeed, so now that I have the info, I can do it. It's the same thing with someone who doesn't know what they want to do for work and then just tries temp work and tries different things and sees what's a good fit and what isn't. That's going to be a much different journey to someone who at 5 years old says, I want to be up on stage, because that's going to be much quicker, fewer detours, fewer disappointment. You could argue less experience in different areas, but it's really the difference between stumbling around and saying, okay, well, give it to me, what's going to happen, what's going to work for me, define me, right? Versus someone, I'm on stage and that's where I truly belong and that's where I'm going to end up. So let's see, what else have we got? We have a grand trine at the center. Again, if you look at the inner wheel, it's this big blue triangle, and that's an area of talent. And grand trines are usually in one element, so either air or fire or water, earth. But in this case, it connects Pluto and Aquarius with Uranus and Taurus, so air and earth, and then also it goes down to Black Moon Lilith and Virgo. So we've got earth and air. Air is a masculine element that's about ideas and perception and decision making and what you teach and communicate and articulate. And earth is a feminine element. So with this, it's my ideas are the most concrete thing in the world. It's what I said earlier about my feelings are much more real than what's happening in my life out there at the moment. So if I have the idea, then of course I'm able to find the action steps to create a different life that I can build for myself. And that's a real talent. No one's telling you how to live. Your ideas are giving you options and you can pick and choose and say, this one please, I'm going to make it happen. And then not only do we have a grand trine, but if you look again on the line from Pluto and Aquarius to Uranus and Taurus, we've got two sextiles on either side. connecting Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. So that then is called a kite, and a kite is a significant talent. If you have a kite in your natal chart, it's confirmation that you have a talent which is exceptional and that you can use to build something very, very concrete that's going to have a huge impact on the world and the people around you. But with this, it connects Neptune in Pisces. So not only do we have the ability to get these ideas and to make sense of things intellectually, but bringing in Neptune, the water planet of the dream, or it could be playing the tape forward, you can listen to your feeling and your intellect and then adapt the physical world around you. So it's all inward, outward. And if you want to define your own life through the actions you take, this is really a moment of birth. This is who I'm going to be when I grow up, right? Let's see what else. So we've got the Grand Cross, I mentioned that. We've got the Grand Trine Kite. We've got another triangle, and there isn't really a name for this in astrology. It connects Venus and Mercury in Cancer. They sesqui square the part of fortune in Scorpio. That then sesqui squares the North Node at 11 degrees in Aries, and they square each other. So the North Node squares Venus and Mercury in Cancer. So this creates a lot of friction as well. And it's, if I care about myself, if I want to take care of my inner child, I'll pay attention to what's really going on during this full moon, because it's all going to be revealed to me. The hidden truths of things come to the surface, they come to light. That's what's going to allow me a way forward in life that I haven't tried yet, that really does put me first. That means I'm being of service to myself, and that I am respecting my own existence, my own experience, and doing the best I can. So that's like, do you imagine you're in a garden and there's a hedge on every side? One side, suddenly a doorway appears in the hedge and you have a way out of the garden. Yeah. We've got some empty houses as well, which I'm kind of aware of, but with this, you know, this is based on my location. It'll be different where you are. The thing I feel is, what's going to be revealed is what I love and what I want to manifest in future. And I'm not so bothered by sourcing these ideas from other people around me. You know, that would be like you're in a job at the moment and you hear one of your co-workers saying, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have my own flower shop? And you sit there and you're like, oh, I would have never thought of that. Maybe I could have my own flower shop. Let's try it. It puts you in that position of, let me try things and see how they feel. Whereas this gives you the opportunity to get your dream in earnest from within, so you don't have to experiment so much and go on this journey. Strongest mode is cardinal, so it's about you making the decision on your own and saying this is what's going to happen. And the strongest elements are earth and water. So again, it's your ideas and listening to that still inner voice that's going to allow you to reshape your circumstances, and then you'll have a very different emotional experience in those new circumstances. So it's the promise not only that things could get better, but that life can look completely different. Okay, let's see if I missed anything. Don't think so. No, I did miss something big. We've also got a mystic rectangle. A mystic rectangle is two trines and two sextiles that create this big blue box, right? And a mystic rectangle is usually two elements, and it brings together really contradictory things in a way that allows you to connect in a way that you usually couldn't. And here it connects the part of fortune in Scorpio with Neptune in Pisces, then that sextiles Uranus and Taurus, and that then trines Black Moon, Lilith and Virgo, and it sextiles back to the part of fortune in Scorpio. So it's water and earth, And it's your ability to use your imagination to get to the truth of what's really going on for you. And that then allows you to reshape your world like putty, and it allows you to overcome your own self-criticism, because the dream is now bigger and more important than I can is more important than what I can't. So that's also really encouraging, and that's where I think the universe comes into play. It's really encouraging you to this time to believe in yourself again and to say anything is possible. Okay, so let's look at each sign of the zodiac. And it's asking big questions, this full moon. So for everyone, it's the opportunity to really enjoy this great time, but also to come to very significant personal conclusions. And Aries, for you guys, it's very literal in the sense of, what do I want to be remembered for? Do I want to live forever via my family, my children, the people I create, so to speak? Or do I want to be remembered through my work, through my life purpose, independently of family? How can I do the most loving thing for myself? And asking these questions, again, it's that, try that automatic writing thing. I think you'll get a lot by answering these on your own. For Aries, is it a sense of passion and purpose that's more important, or do you want to create financial security, or both? Can you find a way to combine them? So for you, Aries, in the most straightforward way, this is a perfect opportunity to get clear on what's most important to you in your life and what you can do in the long term to realize those ambitions and dreams. Taurus, what could you learn or experience to become happier in your working life? And what can you do now to ensure that you're doing the job that you were born to do? And moving forward, is that going to be the same, or do you need to make some changes? Also, what can I let go of that isn't a priority and that takes up a lot of time? And what can I do to move away from that? So for you specifically, Taurus, it's how can you let go of certain emotional connections that really don't serve you in any way? I also feel for you, Taurus, that there's the opportunity to travel, or as far as business is concerned, that someone invites you to go see them. If that comes up, look at that as being really significant and not just a fluke. And if there's any travel involved, personally, exploration-wise or business-wise, it's likely to go well. Gemini, for you, the question, and for all of the signs, I've really put specific questions because this is an opportunity to find the answers. So for you, Gemini, what area of your life are you the most expert in already? And how could you make this bigger and a concrete presence in your everyday life? What can you do that you enjoy and that at the same time will guide other people as you continue on that path? And Gemini as well, I think for you there's going to be a great interest in other people. So if you make a new romantic connection during this time, also pay attention to that, because that could be a loving presence that comes into your life in a different way then, via another person. Cancer, how do you become the authority in your own life? And how can you let go of what other people think of you? So the question could also be, how do I people please or censor myself? And how can I find more independence based on my own decisions and letting go of the need to make other people happy all the time? Leo, for you, the question may be, what is the universe telling you right now that you've ignored? So what's come in again and again and again, and you've dismissed it as either being inconvenient or too complicated? So another way of looking at it is to go to the past and say, what have I been very successful? What has really worked for me? Where have I had a lot of success? And where have I found the unwillingness to work with that? So for you, it's about going back to the past and being in the present and looking at those ideas that seemed impractical. Revisit those during this full moon, because you will have changed and the solutions you find to those things will have changed too. So you could certainly pick up discarded hopes and dreams, or you could amend disappointments from the past by revisiting. Virgo, Where do you center yourself, and what hopes and dreams have you let go of because you've decided that they're impossible to attain? So revisit those areas. You've changed as well, and you'll be able to realize one or more of these desires, and you're able to really get clear on where you've been too heavy-handed, saying this isn't going to work for me, so I'm not going to bother. That dismissal is minimized here during the full moon for you. So things that seem impossible, really look at those in detail, in earnest, and be quite objective. And I'd be very surprised if you didn't find a way to make something happen. Libra, for you, it's a good opportunity to ask yourself, in what area of your life have you been taken advantage of? And where have you entered that agreement and said it's okay to take advantage of me? Consciously, unconsciously, either in your personal relationships, in your working life. And once you have those answers, ask yourself what you can do moving forward that will be much more rewarding if you did it a different way. So for you, it's an opportunity to exit these contracts and agreements that really don't serve you in any way and keep you stuck for the sake of other people or for someone's convenience. Scorpio, for you, this is an amazing opportunity to gain deeper understanding of yourself, and particularly those areas of your life where you feel blocked. Why are you blocked? So that process may be uncomfortable. You may not want to look at those things, but you'll be able to ram through the inner barriers that, one, discourage you from looking at those things, and second of all, you'll understand what payoff you've received by being blocked. Those what's it called? Those obstacles aren't just there because they're real, they're there because they serve some purpose. So by asking those questions, you'll understand how you can remove those blocks once and for all and get going. Sagittarius, have you lost track of your own goals because of outside influences, or have the goalposts changed as time has gone on? So you're able to get back to this place of, what did I actually set out to do initially, and how can I get back on track with that? And how can I get rid of the distractions and the things that have led me astray? Capricorn, for you, it would be a good idea to look at what areas of your life see you doing all the work and where you get very little in return. What can you change so that you create a more 50-50 kind of Libra scale type of balance where you give and you receive, so that you have a more 50-50 dynamic going on rather than you doing all the work and almost getting nothing out of it. Aquarius, for you, it might be a good idea to meditate a little and to connect to your higher self with a question of, what has Spirit told me to do over and over and over again in order to improve the routine of my everyday, or how I could take better care of myself. You'll be given the answer to how you can achieve personal healing by making changes that you may not be particularly excited to make. So it's not going to feel super joyous, but it's like, what do I refuse to do that actually keeps me sick or feeling less than myself? Pisces, are you working towards realizing your own hopes and dreams, or have you put those aside to help someone else realize their hopes and dreams? So how can you put yourself first again and refuse to play a supporting role in someone else's life? And how can you start to invest in your own hopes and dreams again? So you see from those questions that those are some really big questions, not the most easy to answer, not the most pleasant, but it's when you answer those kind of things that you can make significant changes which will serve you for a long time in future. So I hope that gives you something to go on. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. To draw up your natal chart, I just need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. Excuse me. If you don't have the time of birth, then please order a chart rectification with me. That's a process where I manually work out your time of birth, and that's helpful because the chart changes every 4 minutes. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up, please, and subscribe for more videos. If you would like to see the daily tarot reading, then please consider becoming a member of my channel. I do those daily, every day. And check out some of the other videos on the new moons, the weekly horoscopes, some of the other content I make. So I hope you have a wonderful time here during this full moon. All the best, and I'll speak to you soon.